Put a finger down if you were today years old when you learned that you are a coon, you are a texturist, you hate your hair, and you want closer proximity to whiteness because you chose to get micro locks over freeform locks or more traditional locks.
Does having microlocks make you a texturist? Let's talk about it.
Can I tell you a secret?
If you're on TikTok and you are in the microlock spaces, then you have come across videos discussing the topic of microlocks and texturism and proximity to whiteness. There was this creator who I guess had a bad loose natural hair day where she was in jail for 3 days and then she had to go before the judge and her hair wasn't the best because she was in jail for 3 days. And her main issue was that the judge, who had micro or sister locks, was being basically disrespectful, for lack of a better term. She was disrespectful towards the original poster's hair because she said something along the lines of, well, not everybody's hair is done. And she gestured towards the original poster. So she went on this whole tangent about how people who are texturists typically get microlocks because of its proximity to whiteness, because microlocks hang down, they're a lot more versatile. And I guess people who get microlocks want to appear white. And as ridiculous as that sounds, I understand where she's coming from, because there is nuance and there are texturists in every hairstyle Black women choose to get, or even people of color typically get. But I find issue with the blanketed statement that those who get my style of locks or sister locks are inherently texturist, because that's not true. And in this video, we're just going to talk about my experience of why I got microlocks and hear from other creators just talking about or even responding to this topic. But I do have manners. Welcome back to Unbottled Secrets, the channel where my truth becomes your entertainment. My name is Fakira, and consider this your nicheless, uncorked space. We talk about everything here, from faith, life, to thoughts I probably should have kept to myself. So if you love the Lord in a good yap sesh, then I invite you to become a secret admirer.
I don't have microlocs, but I've been locked for the last 8 years. And I'm seeing all the discourse surrounding microlocs and the texturism. And it's so funny because this is not the first time this has actually come up. A few years ago on Twitter, someone was trying to say that Black people get locks because they are trying to create this illusion that they have straight hair. I just washed my hair and you could still see the texture in my hair. So where exactly would I be creating this illusion that I have straight hair? So because I made the conscious decision that I do not want to spend the rest of my life combing my hair and air drying my hair and detangling my hair, that I have now said I want to look like Becky down the street. That's very interesting. And before this, I had natural hair. I had a big afro. I've had long hair for most of my life. And it's so interesting because even when I was natural, people were trying to associate the length of my hair to anything but Black. I worked in a retail store and Nigerians will ask me, oh, are you half caste? Are you mixed or something? Because they couldn't believe that a Black woman had long hair. And this was when my hair was not even straightened. You could see the length of my hair. And that's because my mother laid the foundation for me to take care of my hair. I did not get box braids. Probably once a year I got box braids. I think I had to beg for singlies twist at some point. And then the rest of the year she would braid my natural hair. She would take care of my natural hair every week. And I would dread it, but now as I'm older, I appreciate it. But she would literally braid my hair, When it got old, we'd take it out, detangle it, and I would get my hair washed and rebraided. My real hair was always maintained, and so it set the tone for me to maintain my own hair. And it wasn't until a best friend of mine, who actually, funny enough, had locks and combed her locks out and got a relaxer, and I saw the length, and I begged my mother for a relaxer, that my hair was in the worst shape ever. And you know what I did? Maybe a few years later, I cut that perm out my hair and I went back natural. And that was because the priority was always health. Simple as that. I think a lot of people have some extra work to do when it comes to the biases they have, especially with hair, especially with Black women's hair. But more importantly, ignore stupid people.
I cannot even believe that there is a conversation going on about texturism and sister locks and micro locks are even in the same conversation. I grew these locks because I didn't want to wear wigs, closures, braids, and all of the other things. You think I wear these kinky locks with these kinky edges to have proximity to whiteness? That's crazy. I've been growing my hair for 5 years. This is the healthiest my hair has ever been. It's the longest it's ever been because I literally have hair freedom. I wake up, take my bonnet off, and go. That's what most women that have sister locks or micro locks want to do. And when I had shorter locks, they were out like a fro. But because I have over 500 locks in weight and gravity, they've dropped. Everybody's locks drop after a while. But to think that Black women with our kinky edges and our dark melanated skin want to have proximity to whiteness by wearing sister locks and because they're thinner locks. Now, I'm not saying that the sister lock and micro lock community don't have their own internal issues with texturism, with the curly ends and all of that stuff. That is a conversation for another day. But them in total, we ain't did that. Some people had to have establishments that was up to 20 hours. My sister locks took 27 hours to install. And you think that I did that to have proximity to whiteness? Yeah, no. And on top of that, in any day, any age, any race, every single time I come back in any universe, I want to be a Black woman because we are where it starts and where it ends, babes.
I don't know about anybody else, but when I got locks, this is funny to say, but I wanted my locks to look like mini twists the entire time. I like the fact that it looked like loose natural hair. I was actually really sad when they started to drop because I liked the volume, I liked the fullness of it, and I liked the fact that it mimicked a fro with twists. So I don't know. I can insert pictures of how my locks look when I first got them done, and I thought they were absolutely stunning. But I don't know anyone who got locks and said, "Ooh, I'm gonna look like a white woman today." Because at the end of the day, there's nothing about locks that gives Caucasian. It's still textured.
Somebody who's forcing microlocks, I can't say that I'm too offended at somebody saying that texturists get microlocks. I say that partially because I know why I got microlocks and I'm not a texturist. Beyond that, I'm also aware of the greater conversation around texturism in the lock space. And a lot of times when people are discussing this, the sentiment being shared is like, now that locks are so popular, people really do just get them for the aesthetic. And sometimes, that means that people get them because they hang down or because they resemble braids or whatever else. That's how, say, like, not in the micro lock space, you end up with these people who basically only like their locks right after it retwists and right as it wears out. Like, they feel like they need to over retwist their hair because they can't stand to see their natural hair texture at their roots. Now, when we talk about the micro lock space, it's pretty unique because then you have people who some people don't even really like locks as a concept. And I'm not saying it's everyone. I have microlocks. I know it's not everyone. There are people who get microlocks talking about, oh, I want them to be so small that they don't really look like locks. And it's like, okay, well, they don't want it to look like an afro, right? They want it to look like some other third thing that we won't say. And in both spaces, both the traditional lock space and the microlock space, you have people who are, let's talk about the people who are attracted to the hairstyle, right? There is a common thing, right? Where you see somebody with visibly curly hair, right? Let's say they maintain their loose ends or they're like in the baby lock stage and you can really see their texture. It is so frequent where there will be a lot of comments underneath posts like that talking about, oh, if I knew my locks would look like this, I would have been locked up. And you see significantly fewer of those comments under hair like mine, which is fine. Everyone has their taste. But the concept of like the conversation around conversation around texturism is where is that taste coming from, right? Before I wrap, I did want to give a real life example because I've talked a lot about online because you and I were both on our phones right now. I first went natural when I was 17, and I know somebody personally who made negative comments about my hair when I first went natural. I also know that one of the times that she made these comments, she kind of indicated this hierarchy between locks and loose natural hair because she was like, instead of doing this with your hair, why don't you just do it like your mom? And my mom had locks. That said, I also know she's not like a huge fan of locks. So then fast forward, I have these Microlocs and they're finally locked up. I see this person and they're asking me genuine questions about my hair, not the shady, double-sided questions that she would usually ask. She was like, oh, how long did these take you to install? Oh, you did them yourself. How long did they take to do? Okay, how often do you have to do? Stuff like that where it seems like she's more so just curious, potentially even for herself. Like, I peep, like, you don't like natural hair, but, like, you are the only exception. That and straight natural. But I think that's why Microlocs attract this kind of person, because it feels like the cousin to straight natural hair. That's why I say, I can see why there's this potential for texturists to be attracted to this hairstyle. Like I said, I know who she is. I understand what the appeal would be for her, but I also know who I am and my motivations. I tend to like smaller braids. I was thinking a lot about that. I was like, if there were no limitations in this life and I could get any size braids, which one would I want forever? And that had a hand in my decision. I also don't like product on my scalp, so that had a hand in my decision. I wanted a lot of volume. That had a hand in my decision. I also knew that I wasn't in the camp of, oh, I want my locks so small they don't look like locks. I still wanted them to look like locks. I feel like I achieved that, which I'm very happy with. Let me start talking about my locks. I think they're so perfect. Like, I love them. But I also know I really do appreciate traditional locks. And before I leave this earth, unless I feel really attached to my locks later down the line, I will likely have traditional locks at some point because I think they're beautiful. So that's them. This is me. And I don't think it's a wrong discussion to have. I think people who do come from that place of not wanting their hair to look like locks or being really uncomfortable with being between reties and stuff like that, I think those people should have that discussion. I just also know I'm good, baby. If anything, I probably wait too long to do my reties. That's my cross to bear.
It's still kinky. It's still coily. Some people have curls. Congrats to them, but it's black. Now, another argument that someone could say, if we're using the statement that texturists who want locks tend to get microlocks or sister locks, is the fact that they like curly, coily, loose ends to mimic loose natural hair. And okay, but that still doesn't make sense because I have microlocks with loose ends for the most part. There are some that are completely budded. And my texture is coily. So looking at the texture, it's 4C or 4B. So I don't get that, but I guess if you have 3C or type 3 hair, but even in that, your hair is technically the preferred, and I'm using that in quotes because I love my type 4 hair babes, preferred texture, so why would you lock it? So even that does not make sense.
Texturists with girls that have microlocs. Let's talk about it. So this is actually my first time hearing about it. I don't know if because I've only been locked for like 2-3 years, but I never thought about girls with melanin that has microlocs are texturists. Like, I thought the whole point of getting locks because you don't want to do your hair. You want to go a long time without doing your hair. Like, I know when I got my microlocs, I did not think about, oh, I want to resemble my hair being straight, long, taking all times getting my hair done. When you have microlocs or locks in general, it might take a little longer to get your hair locked, but we don't go for a while without getting our hair done again. So I don't know where that's coming from. because I love my hair and I love the skin that I'm in. So trying to make my hair downwards or resemble of a bust down mid apart, I don't have a bust down mid apart. So getting locks is completely different from that. So I just don't understand where that came from.
Apparently, there is a conversation going on in this here internet about microlocs and their association to texturism, and I want to talk about it a little bit. Basically, there is a girl on here talking about how she got mistreated in court because her afro wasn't done. She had just gotten out of jail, so she hadn't had the proper tools to maintain her hair. The judge made a comment, she was offended, and the judge had locks. And basically she was saying that people get microlocks because of their proximity to whiteness, to having a different textured hair. I think this conversation also gives room to talk about how people want black women to be a monolith when we have never been that. We have always been diverse and multi-hyphenated, and that doesn't stop at just our career. It goes into our fashion sense, it goes into the way we express ourselves, and it definitely goes into our hair. As a girl who has had 4C hair literally her entire life, yes, I am of the group of black girls who mom permed their hair when they was young, but let me tell y'all, that perm never took. That perm barely did its job. My hair was still fighting them hairdressers. So to say that people who get microlocks have texturism issues is so funny to me, because truly, if you've never had 4C, damn near 4Z hair, and had to detangle it after a wash or after a style, you don't have no stake in this conversation. Because the reason I got microlocks is, one, because I knew that I didn't want bigger locks in my head just because I have such a small head, and two, because I didn't want to comb my hair no more. I was one of the naturals who had naturally long hair, but baby, it wasn't because I was maintaining it well. It was purely genetics. I didn't comb my hair, I didn't brush my hair, I hated washing my hair. So locks was literally the only option for me, okay? Locks was literally the only option for me. These curls have been in my head for 7 days. Seven days, and they're still rocking and rolling. If I had my loose natural hair, my style would have lasted a couple days, and I would have had to rewash because I use products and detangle and do it. I don't have time for that. I'm chasing around a toddler all day. I need to get up, spray, and go. Just because somebody doesn't want the presentation of one way doesn't mean that they're trying to have proximity to whiteness. They're trying to, get away from their initial texture. Because, baby, let me show y'all these roots. Let me show y'all these roots. These roots are very much still nappy, okay? When I get my hair washed and stuff, sometimes I gotta pop them roots because my hair is very much still kinky and nappy. Just because the orientation of how my hair is being maintained is different doesn't mean that I don't still have a kinky hair texture. Another part of the conversation, when you get locks, you never know how your locks are going to look. You don't know the type of texture that your hair is going to take. My mom has locks, and our locks look completely different. My baby, he came from people who got 4C hair, and his hair is not 4C. You never know the orientation of your hair. And also, as a woman, your hair goes through so many different cycles related to your lifestyle, related to your hormones, related to just your natural health. So when you get locks, you can even get thicker locks, and they still may not be as thick as you thought they were going to be. One, because the density of your hair may change, the thinning of your hair may change based on all of those factors that I've already listed. But to put somebody in a box and then to tell them that they're trying to have proximity to whiteness, that's just such a, I don't know, it just made me laugh. But one thing about it, I'm not ever combing my hair again. I will cut these off and rock me low cut cereal with the deep waves, okay? I want to retie my hair once every 8 weeks. That is it. I want to spend 4 hours once every 8 weeks, and not 4 hours washing, detangling, deep conditioning, and then getting to a style. I need y'all to be so for real right now. Be so for real.
Either way you spin it, if I was a texturist, I would not be seeking to get locks. I would be seeking to get a relaxer. And this is not to say people who get relaxers are texturists. I'm just saying, if you want proximity to whiteness, why don't you just keep your hair straight? And let's just address the real reason why a lot of us get locks. And that's because we don't feel like doing our hair. We didn't want to spend a whole day washing it, detangling it, having to think about what to do with our hair next. And if you didn't know how to do hair like me, you didn't want to wear wigs and have it look a hot mess. Exhibit A. So we chose the more freeing option. And yes, having traditional locks, tiny locks, whatever locks you have, it still comes with maintenance, and it still has its own level of like stressors that I've mentioned in other videos. But at the end of the day, we wanted freedom to not have to think about our hair all the time. I, for one, am blackity black, black, black. I've been natural since 2013. I only know natural life. I loved my fro. I'm also considering going back to being a loose natural. So I find like fault in that because I genuinely love being black. I love my texture. I just didn't know how to do my hair, and that's why I got locks. Because again, the original poster was saying that people who are texturists tend to get smaller or tinier locks because of proximity to whiteness. I still disagree with her statement, and she did not say blanketedly that people who have microlocks or sister locks are texturists. But even just that statement of saying that these particular people get that, I don't think locks will be the thing that they run towards if they were truly texturists. There are some other ways that people can do their hair, if you're catching my drift, okay? But even when we talk about microlocks being versatile, I still don't think that equates to it being anti-black. We want to be able to freely style our hair, i.e. don't have to comb it, because that's the main thing of like combing and detangling it, while still doing styles that we like, i.e. ponytails, because that's what I do most of the time, or high puffs, which I love doing when my hair was shorter and more like kinkier and frizzier, because it just mimicked my loose natural hair when I missed my puff, without me having to comb and detangling it. And regardless, the style still look black. Like even when we add the curls or insert style there, you know that there are locks. Like there's no way that I can do my hair and they don't look textured or look like locks. I think the most that my hair looked was like as loose natural hair, but it was still frizzy. It wasn't slick. I don't use gels. I sometimes use edge control, but it looked like natural hair. It looked locked. I can't get away from my hair looking locked no matter what style that I put in my hair. Even if I were to take the scarf out now, I still look black because I have new growth. It's like a little mini afro. It's kind of cute. It's dry though. I need to put some moisture in it. But regardless, I can't see me personally, and this is maybe because I have type 4 hair, that there is any point in my journey where people would mistake my locks for straight hair or assume that I want to be white, because quite frankly, having locks is a very blackety black style, whether they are traditional locks, tiny locks, small locks, medium locks, wigs, freeform. They're still locks and you can see the texture. So yeah, I don't get it, but I guess everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Just leave us out of it. Let us be great. Can we live, please?
I hate that it's 2026 and we're even having this conversation. Like, I hate it. Like, why are we trying to create a divide in the lock community? Like, for what? Like, what reason? What reason? Let people get the locks they want. There's individuality for a reason. You don't have to make up some weird ass theory because somebody wants to be different than you. Because I want a different size lock. Because I want to start them a different way. Because I want to upkeep them a different way. Because I want to style them a different way. Like, that's crazy as hell. And to even try to compare locks to straight hair. Are you serious? What straight hair have you seen be able to do the things any type of lock can do? Please let me know quickly.
I just wanted to remind everybody that Black people have been locking our hair for like 3,000 to 5,000 years. Really, since before the times of Christ, we have been locking our hair, including small locks. The same creator who brought up the topic of micros and texturism also made a follow-up video basically saying that people lock their kids' hair because they want it to grow downwards, and like when people talk about bust-down locks, etc., they're saying that because they want the child to conform to whiteness. And again, hair that grows down does not automatically mean whiteness. We've literally been locking our hair forever. And I don't want people to forget that locks just started to get a little bit more acceptable. And I literally remember stories of people not being able to walk during graduation unless they cut their locks. There was this one kid who was doing some sport, wrestling I think, and like his teacher or something literally cut his locks in the middle of the match or something like that. Like he couldn't continue playing without his locks being cut. Locks in recent history have been heavily discriminated against. So saying that locks or that people are getting locks to assimilate is just insane to me. And it's just a crazy, almost full circle moment that a style that we've been doing for thousands of years that was rejected and just started getting a little bit more acceptable now we're having this discourse about, is it assimilation? I think the whole concept of a texturist choosing to get locks of any size is just a bit foreign to me because straight hair is literally an option as well.
Not me finding out that those of us with microlocks or sister locks only got them because of their proximity to whiteness. Seriously? Listen, I know there's a whole texturism conversation going on right now, but people choose to get the style of locks that they want because that's what they prefer. And regardless as to what method you choose to lock your hair, as long as you love it, who cares what others think?
Whether you have traditional locks, microlocks / sister locks, loose natural hair, heck, a relaxer, a bust down, whatever. Do what you want to do with your hair. There is no argument from me. Of course, I'm going to always advocate for natural hair because it's the hair that we were born with. But however you style it or wear it out or display it, it's your prerogative. That does not make you any less Black. That does not mean that you want proximity to whiteness, unless you're flat out saying, I hate my natural hair. Anyways, let people do what they want to do with their hair. And like India already said, you are not your hair. You are the soul that lives within. And with that being said, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you glean something meaningful. In the comment section below, let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you believe that people who get tinier locks are texturists? What are your thoughts on people saying that texturists get micro locks? Is there nuance to this conversation? Should this even be a topic to begin with? Let me know. I would love to know. Also, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And while you're hitting that thumbs up, also hit that hype button. That's the algorithm's way of pushing out small creators like me. And if you want my videos to reach the masses, hype me up. Hype me up. Please, please hype me up. And if you would like to become a secret admirer, please, 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 please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any time I upload a video. Share if you care. And until next time, bye.